water from your own cistern, running water from your own well. Should your springs overflow in the streets, your streams of water in public squares? Let them be yours alone, never to be shared with strangers. Make your fountain be blessed, and may you rejoice in the wife of your youth. A loving doe, a graceful deer. May her breast satisfy you always. May you ever be captivated by her love. Why be captivated, my son, by an adulteress? Why embrace the bosom of another man's wife? For a man's ways are in full view of the Lord, and he examines all his paths. The evil deeds of a wicked man ensnare him. The cords of his sin hold him fast. He will die for lack of discipline, led astray by his own great folly. While we continue, Solomon continues to be, to me, serious to his son and trying to help him ahead of time to be productive in trying to keep him to be honest with who God wants him to be in this area of sexual sin. The first part of this is we're continuing, as we've seen in 9 and 10, we're continuing to see the consequences of what happens when you have an adulterous affair, or when you have premarital sex, or when you have extramarital sex, and all of these type of things that are happening in our world today. And 2 weeks ago we talked about just how normal it is, how numb it is to the world. It's really not an issue. And if you speak against it, you become something that, like, you're weird, or you're just not, as a Christian, and your values, they're not real today. And so this is good that Solomon is carrying through with this. And so let's look at verse 11. He says, at the end of your life you will groan when your flesh and body are spent. Sexual sin will cut your life short. It will cut your life short. We know to be true more today than ever before. To be true, we need to be. There's diseases now that are constant and emergence, new transmitted diseases that are happening. It was interesting. I read an article that says the average lifespan for a homosexual man today is 42 years old. And I've never heard that. That was interesting to me. And so I know that I've had a friend that has strayed and lived in that lifestyle, and he is not doing well. He has AIDS, and he is getting weaker and weaker by the month. And he's almost so weak that he can't get out of bed. And so it will cut your life short. And that's what he's saying here. He's saying at the end of your life you will groan, and when your flesh and body are spent, and you're tired, and there's nothing else that you can do. And that's a consequence of that sin. And then verse 12 says, you will say, how I hated discipline. How my heart spurned correction. I didn't want anyone to tell me what to do or to give me direction. You see it happening. And so it's kind of a regret. You're going to have those regrets. Your life's going to be short, and then you're going to have regrets. And you'll come to your senses afterwards, and you'll say, man, I should have listened. I should have listened. And yet these are regrets that won't be able to be erased. They can't be changed at this point except through a life with Christ. That is the only forgiveness, but it will not change what you have done and where you have been in these things. So it's tough. I was reading an article about a man. His name was Richard, and he said it was in a magazine. It was a magazine article back in 1998, which was a long ways back. But